All right, welcome to the August 13th meeting of the Town Council. Everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Maria, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dixon?
Here.
Mrs. Diglio?
Here.
Mr. Flynn? Mr. Swaffer?
Here.
Mayor LaCroix?
Here, and yes, Deputy Mayor Flynn is absent tonight. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this regular meeting was given to the two newspapers of record and posted on the official bulletin board on January 8th, 2018. First on the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from the July 17th regular meeting and July 17th executive session. Any comments, changes, deletions, amendments? All right, can I have
Make
a
a
motion?
motion to approve the July 17th regular meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Dixon, a second by Councilman Schlaffer.
And that's also executive minute.
Okay.
Both of them.
Yes. Okay, all right.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Diglio?
Yes.
Mr. Swaffer?
Yes.
Mayor LaCroix?
Yes. All right. At this point in the meeting, the Town Council welcomes comments from any member of the public on any topic to help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit the opportunity for anyone who wishes to be heard. Speakers are asked to take one turn at the microphone and please limit their comments to 5 minutes. The clerk will keep time. If reading from a prepared statement, please provide a copy and email a copy to the clerk's office after making your comments so it may be properly reflected in the minutes. In this first session, do we have any comments from the public?
Thank you, Mayor. Jackie Espinoza, Jersey Central Power and Light, 56 Hampton House Road. I'm here to talk about the Reliability Plus program, and it's an infrastructure investment plan that we filed with the Board of Public Utilities. And I apologize for those who were at the freeholder meeting and probably heard this already, but this will be a snapshot version. It's an excellent plan. It's a 4-year plan. We want to spend $400 million all on the distribution system. After we had the storms in March, we had an outside consultant come in. We had several people were picked from the company to sit down and take a look at the types of outages, what we can do to reduce the frequency and the duration of these outages on blue sky days, and we also when we have the severe weather come through. So that's what this plan is all about. So the tree trimming up here in Sussex County is definitely an issue. We have the ash trees, the emerald ash borer that's attacking the ash trees. We're going to target that. We have a trip saver fuse that we want to install on the distribution lines. We have a similar type of a reclosure that we have on the primary lines. This will be on the single phase lines, and what it will do for us as customers of JCP&L on the smaller type outages, it will the fuse can detect if there was a fault on the line. So if a tree branch comes down, hits the line, but clears, falls on the ground, the fuse will stay in. You're not going to get a complete outage. That means a line truck doesn't have to be dispatched, patrol the line, and then replace the fuse. During the major storms, what's nice about that is sometimes we have those pockets of outages where it's only taken a fuse replacement, it's a quick fix, but we don't get to it till towards the end. So that's what this trip saver is going to help eliminate. We want to put in more SCADA control where they can control things from our dispatch center in Morristown. And we also want to put some more loop schemes. And there's other fencing for substations, for security, to prevent the animals from getting into substations, because for some reason they just love the substations. Squirrels, they love our transformers, and so it's all about the distribution. I know you guys have supported me in the past when we were talking about transmission projects, but this is all about the outages, where we get the headaches. So we filed it with the Board of Public Utilities. Expecting hearings are going to start maybe in the fall. We would really like to get the project going in 2019 if it's passed. So that's why I'm looking for support from all the municipalities, from the county, and it's just saying, hey, Board of Public Utilities, this is important. Don't forget You know, we were at the public hearings after the storms, they heard us, you know, so that's why I'm asking for support. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm here
Yeah,
tonight.
so thank you for coming and making your presentation. I know you had a larger presentation at the past freeholder meeting, some of which we're in attendance and able to see. Really, GCP&L's intent with this investment in the infrastructure is to help with unnecessary outages and certainly make this investment so that future outages are fewer and response time can be faster and responses can be made to those places that maybe have the more critical situations. And I believe I recall from your presentation that right now, if a squirrel gets up on the line, they can trigger an outage, or an event which would
Yeah.
require lines folks to go out and figure out what the problem was and assess it and then reconnect. Whereas some of the components that you just spoke about would help to mitigate those
Yes.
frequencies of outages, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and Jackie, if you could also, because we have a number of members of the public here, if you could just remind folks about outages and how you all get information and then disseminate
Thank you.
information. And I want to preface that by saying that Jackie and her team and all of her colleagues are very good about notifying municipalities countywide when there is an outage and being able to say almost to a number how many people are out in what areas, and then also provide information to us about when outages are cleared or
Yeah.
are no longer in existence. But the public plays a role in that, right?
Yes, and they brought that up at the meeting, so I'm glad you brought that up. When there are power outages, it's so important to report a power outage, because a lot of times we do not know you're out of power unless you're part of a very large outage. If there's an outage that's affecting over 100 customers, I send out an email communication, and it goes to all the county officials, whoever wants to be on the list. I'll make sure you guys get on the list if you want to be notified. It's a lot of emails. And during storm restoration, what we do is we focus on, of course, the critical infrastructure, the substations, transmission lines. We work on critical facilities, that I work very closely with town, with the police chief to see what's on the list of critical facilities. And then we look at the largest pockets of restoration, but we do road openings first. And restoration comes down to actually number 5 on the list, because a lot of things that we have to do before we start restoring power, so it's done safely. And it's great working with the town. You guys are phenomenal. I work with your OEM coordinators, and they are fantastic.
Thank
We're
you.
always communicating during the storms.
So I just want to make sure that the public understands, don't assume because your power went out that JCP&L automatically knows, or that somebody else is going to report it. And JCP&L has done a lot to make sure that it's user friendly. So insofar as an 800 number, there's an app, you can text your outage, and there's two-way communication should you choose to have that with JCP&L as well. If you sign up for their text service or you have their app and you report an outage, they will communicate back to you when they can project that outage is going to be rectified as well. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's important to link the cell phone to the account.
exactly. And for my colleagues on the dais, we all received today a little more detail and a resolution in support of JCP&L's Reliability Plus. So hopefully we'll have the opportunity to read through any of that, all that. Does anybody have any questions for Jackie while she's here on that?
I do think it would be important to mention the cost increase that you had
Yes.
mentioned at that meeting.
Thank you, yes.
And it's also in the resolution as well, so yes.
Yes, there is a cost. These are all capital improvements, so we do have to go for a rate increase. The initial investment is 26 cents for the average home, for a home that uses about 780 kilowatt hours a month. So, and then every 6 months, we have to spend the money first before we can put this through. And it's called a rider. So riders don't last forever. Just like this Hurricane Sandy rider will be coming off bill, I think in 2019. So until the costs are recovered. So it's not a lot of money. It's not going to be a large impact on the customers, which myself, I'm a customer.
But the
So-
potential output though, in terms of outages and.
Yeah.
Right, so you guys have done a cost analysis benefit for the
Yes.
clients, and for that 26 cents, which you anticipate is going to be the
And it'll-
ROI on that
Yes, and the highest it'll go is $1.89 over those 4 years.
4 years,
Yeah.
so that's the time frame. Mr. Stoffer, I think you were
Yep.
questioning as well.
And it's my understanding too, is that if there is another rate case hearing, they may end the rider and then just spread it across the, it'll be a longer spread, but it will be less money, less impact. So depending on how the BPU approves it and if there's a rate case hearing.
And that's a key point too, because all of this still has to be approved before the BPU, which is the Board of Public Utilities, in which there will be open, public sessions and hearings about, and, they will obviously consider all the pros and cons and look at the plan in more detail in terms of the work that you're anticipating.
And we'll still have the lowest rates in New Jersey in
That's good to know.
comparison to PSE&G and Lennox City Electric, even with this.
And even though you initially stated that you're in Hampton, you GCPNL actually has some properties in Newton, and it's been a good neighbor, so. I appreciate that. Any other questions, Jackie, while she's here? Tom, anything, Jackie?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Anyone else from the public at this time? For the public to come speak about anything they want, okay.
Ralph Porter, 12 Pine Street. My church is planning, wants to get involved with the holiday parade, Thanksgiving. I don't know where I'm supposed to go to, so I'm going here first. We want to actually have a kids bicycle decorating contest, strollers, tricycles, and up to 12 years old. And I don't know where to go or how to go about that. So that's why I'm coming here first.
No, that's good. Thank you, Mr. Porter. So I'm going to defer to Councilwoman Diglio because even though those parades are in town and we certainly work collaboratively with the Greater Newton Chamber of Commerce, they are the host and sponsoring entity. So Sandy.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm in charge of the holiday parade, so we'll have a discussion later.
Okay. And now one other thing after that. As everybody knows, everybody knows I walk around town. I don't drive, I walk. The sidewalks, I see there's getting some improvement over on Trenton Street. I don't know if that's the town or if that's private people, I don't know. But the sidewalks are still horrendous. The other thing I have the issue with is crosswalks. There's very few that are actually painted in crosswalks in town. If you look around, they own every street is smart. Newton, 10% maybe? 8%? I'm just saying, people do not stop. I'm halfway through the street and they're driving around me. I know the police can't be everywhere at once. If we mark them in and then people have to stay about 25 feet from parking from the corner, that's the state law, 25 feet from the crosswalk, they would be able to see me better. And they'd be able to see us better. My wife too, walks with me, and it's getting ridiculous. I almost got hit today by, along with, what's that, Mason and Gardner, is it? There's a yield sign. I'm going across, and the guy's speeding down Gardner, and doesn't even, he can't see me, he doesn't stop. It's dangerous.
Mr. Porter, did you have specific, you don't have to publicly talk about which properties and sidewalks, but if you have those specific crosswalks and properties, please share them with the manager's office and we can take a look. I will tell you though, during the recent pedestrian safety campaign, and Chief is sitting here and can probably attest to this, we did see an increase in enforcement and community awareness, and we definitely saw an increase in the number of people getting citations for.
I understand that's only done on Spring Street area, not on my side of town.
No, understood, I know, in terms of awareness,
Right,
just,
yeah.
it was
Right,
another
yeah.
campaign though to make
Thank
people
you.
aware.
I'm not trying to be combative or anything, I'm just
No.
saying, comment.
Understood.
Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Richard Shields, 12 Ridgeview Road, New Jersey. I'm here about something that's old, that I'm new here, I've not even been here a year.
Welcome to
The parking in front of your house. Now, there's an ordinance that I had no clue about. They say there's signs. I looked all over Newton for this sign that says no parking after a certain time in the morning. I'm just asking if y'all can update these, because, okay, I talked to the police department. They told me I got called every day. I got people coming in from out of town. They're gonna be here for 2 weeks. They told me I gotta call the police department every day. Why isn't there some kind of form that I can say, hey, my family's gonna be here for, 2 weeks. They're gonna be parked out front of my house. I got a ticket. Now, mind you, my neighbors park outside a lot. Now, this one day that I got this ticket, my neighbor's car was parked out there. I got a ticket. My son's girlfriend parks out there all the time, never gets a ticket. So I was trying to understand, what's up with this ordinance and can we update it?
So, you're actually the second person over this past month that's asked me about the overnight parking ordinance. I won't tell if you want to weigh in here or.
In the public?
Yeah, okay. So, our town manager will provide some comments too, right as soon as we're done with the public portion. But thank you very much for your input and for attending the meeting, and welcome to Newton.
Thank you, thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Joe Brosler, 47 Plainfield Avenue in Newton. I'm actually here to address your second reading of the ordinance on Plainfield Avenue. I'm actually the person who approached the town manager's office. And first of all, kudos to your office. I talked to a woman just before Memorial Day. Within 2 days, I got a call back from the secretary, who was already consulted with the police chief, already had someone down the block. We're right around the corner from the high school, and said, you're right, that street is dangerous, it's too narrow when the high school kids are parked on both sides of the street. So first of all, kudos to you, you took care of that so fast. You guys really handled it good. And I'm just calling, it just came in to, let you know, I've been there 20 years, and when I first moved in, the kids from the high school were sort of parking in front of my house in May. Now, probably October they start. Okay, and I don't mind them, they're great kids, but now they're parking on both sides of the street. But for years, on the beginning of Plainfield, there was no parking on the one side. So it made sense to continue it. But just to give you kudos, you guys really handled it very nicely. Okay, and thanks for considering the ordinance.
No, well, thank you for taking time out to come to the meeting and to lend your support. I will tell you, in my tenure on the council, there's been a couple of times where we've had to just take a look at the parking situation in and around the high school. I mean, as you know, they don't have a lot of on-campus parking, obviously for students. And it's because citizens have come forward and said, hey, can you just take a look at this corner or this street or this side of the street? Have you considered X, Y, and Z? I mean, our police department is busy with other matters, so their ability to go out and do traffic assessments is not always available. So we rely oftentimes on the neighbors that live there and the public to bring those issues forward. So
I always talk to the kids, because one of the things they do is they park too close to the corner.
yeah,
There's no sign,
Huge
but
safety issue.
there is still, you're constantly parked 25 feet. And I see them. My office window looks out right onto Condon, and I'll see them. And I'll say, you gotta get quiet. Just park, and they're really good. They do listen.
yeah.
So you don't want to get a ticket. Come on, you can't afford it. But the kids are good, and just thanks for putting the ordinance through.
No, well, thanks for being a good neighbor. Appreciate it. Anyone else from the public? All right, so seeing none, we'll go ahead and close that portion of the public session, and we'll move on to council and manager reports. So as everyone knows, it's a busy time in the summer. Not so much busy, it's not a busy time insofar as a lot of town kind of stuff going on, which is why we cut back one of our meetings, but because of that, we sometimes have a lot of updates in terms of the number of weeks since we've all last been together. So as far as my updates, we had a pretty light planning board meeting on the 18th of July. However, as everyone knows, the college did come for a courtesy review before the planning board of the McGuire project. And Tom and Dan and I had our annual mayor deputy mayor kind of working meeting where we just looked at upcoming meetings and projects and things that are going on in town, and as the rest of the council will see with upcoming agenda items, we're going to start those departmental presentations that we talked about at the July 1st reorg meeting. So we have a little bit of a schedule there before that. On behalf of the council and the town, wanted to extend our condolences to the president of the chamber, Mel Dennison, on the passing of his son, as well as the passing of Tommy Trudgeon Sr., which for many, many years was our recreation supervisor. And so just wanted to pass on condolences of the council to both of their families. I was recently out at the pool and happened to talk to Deb Danielson and be able to see some of the plaster issues that we're having up there, and so they'll be coming to make a presentation to the council at some point just about the pool and how the pool season went, and they had a great movie night and a few other things. So it's been a pretty good pool season despite the rainy weather. Of course, we had an election over the last couple of weeks, and just want the council to know that we're just looking at, together with Ursula Leo's office and Tom, just looking at what administratively we might have to do as a result of the election. August 3rd through the 5th, we had our townwide garage sale and sidewalk sales, and I believe we had about 80 permits issued for garage sales and about 15 permits issued for sidewalk sales, so I think that's pretty good participation. I was a little nervous with the weather on that Thursday night and Friday morning, but I think the rest of the weekend was okay and sunny, but humid and hot for sure. And it was also the opening of the fair. So, and then Councilman Dixon and I, Councilman Dixon in person and me on the phone, along with Tom, had a conference call, or had a meeting, on August 7th regarding Senate Bill 531, and an update from the senator and some other parties about the boarding house bill. And I'm sure Councilman Dixon might have some additional comments relative to that. The following day on 8/8, Deputy Mayor and I met with our legislative District 24 with Senator Oroho and Assemblyman Wirths and their chief of staffs, just to say hello, update them on the new constitution of the council, and update them on some of the goals and priorities and related development projects that are going on, and that we look forward to their continued support when appropriate, specifically perhaps around the Armory project and a few others. And their response to that meeting was that it had been a number of years since this governing body has gone to meet with them just to have a conversation. So I think it was a good meeting just to reopen doors and reestablish relationships, and they were happy to accommodate us. And then our town manager, Mr. Russo, Councilwoman Diglio, Councilman Schlaffer, myself, and many, many others attended a freehold meeting on August 8th to hear the sentiments of folks either in support of or not, perhaps, of the college's project at the McGuire lot. So all of the newspapers of record have covered that meeting, and there's more information provided online if you'd like. I know on Friday night we had the movie in the park, and I know that Councilman Dixon's family attended, and he might have some more dates. I did not attend. I was actually at the Jets game, and it happened to be football night for our young football players, and it just so happened, coincidentally, that we happened to be amongst all of the Newton football players, so it was really cool to see in the end zone there, amongst all the green Jets colors, all the maroon Newton football players and their families out for a preseason football night. So Newton was well represented from all of the different levels of the football league, cheerleaders, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, I want to thank our town clerk, Lorraine, for representing the town yesterday and reading in person the proclamation for Jack Ryan on his Eagle Scout recognition. I know that ceremony was Saturday, as a matter of fact, and Lorraine represented the town. We have that proclamation going into the record tonight, but it was nice for you to be able to be there and read that in person. I know that's an incredible honor to achieve, and your son is working towards his as well, but thank you for being able to read the proclamation into record. And those are my updates. That's for now. Deputy Mayor Flynn is not here right now, so Councilwoman Diglio.
Okay. Well, on July 20th, I attended the CLEAR 2-year anniversary at the Romano Conference Center. And Francis Scott, our county prosecutor, gave an overview of the drug problem in our area and how the various organizations, police departments, hospitals, are all working together to make a difference. And I am very proud of the efforts of our police chief, Mike Richards, and Becky Carlson, and want to thank them for all the work that they've done for this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
On August 2nd, I attended a meeting on the whether or not to relocate the main library and updating and improvements. Many things were talked about, hour changes, social media, meeting areas, basically re-imaging the Sussex County Library system. So it'll be interesting to see with all the comments that were made, Lorraine attended with me, as to what improvements are going to be made to our library, our county library system.
So you said that the main discussion was to update people in the county about the county moving the county library?
The county library may be moved
Mhm.
because where it is presently located, not many people actually go there. It needs a great deal of improvement. They want to model it more like the library that they built up on Wantage, with meeting rooms and technology rooms and access to Wi-Fi, because people are using the libraries now for totally different reasons than they used to. They're no longer going there to pick up a book to read it, they want to see it on media. So we have to get into the 21st century, and that was the whole idea of this particular meeting, to see what we need to do.
Did they provide any updates with regards to how traffic is at some of the, not the main county library, but the other libraries like our library here down the street?
Actually, the one they talked about the most was the Wantage location, saying because it has a meeting room and it's more in line with the technology today. A lot of people do use that one, as well as the one on the way to Vernon on, I'm not sure of the highway, I think 94, it's on 94. Our library obviously is outdated, and they know that. And they also talked about the conditions of the different libraries, what improvements physically have to be made, maintenance to them, the cost to the different buildings that need to be looked at, which is why they're considering relocating the main library and keeping that updated and then working on all the satellites. It's a very interesting meeting.
Okay, I'm sure more to come.
Yes, definitely. Nope, that's it for me.
Commissioner Leffer?
No, from me, I just want to make note that it was wonderful to see all the support for the county college's move towards McGuire at the freeholder meeting. I think it promises to be a great catalyst in the revitalization of our local economy, so I'm excited to see that project move forward. I do share some concern about that one speaker did have about seeing some certified financials from the college, but I'm sure those are small details that will be worked out shortly. I also want to thank the Newton voters and residents for making a sound, common sense decision about moving the elections. I'm glad to see that we'll continue to see nonpartisan politics while seeing increased voter turnout and annual cost savings.
Councilman Dixon?
Great. On July 20th, I also attended the Clear Breakfast. Just it was a wonderful morning to see all the progress and the work that's been going on with a great program. So that was great. On July 24th, I went down to Cliffside Park for the signing of the S2 bill. Dr. Green, Board of Ed President Stella Dunn, Board of Ed member Ray Morris, and Fair Funding advocate Grace Dixon were all there in attendance as well. So we were very well represented. That night, I went to the Board of Ed meeting, and with the signing of the S2 bill, the board had a discussion, and they decided that they should withdraw from the litigation that we were going in regards to school funding, and they're going to continue to monitor the situation as it goes forward with the state towards the funding. So if for some reason something comes up, they can always jump back in on that. So what I wanted to know is how we're going to proceed there with that, since we did pass the resolution and we did.
I had spoken to the mayor about it, and we had discussed piggybacking off of the Board of Education, because it's important to have both sides on the same page. And
we agree.
I would refile the lawsuit
Right.
if the state doesn't follow through on what they promised, but we
Absolutely.
That's where we are, so.
Okay. August 7th, we had the meeting for the S531 bill in regards to the boarding homes. We met with some representatives from mental health communities. Just they're expressing their concerns as well of what potentially ramifications for any legislation could be. And we definitely got our points across too. I think there's some common ground that we could work towards to try to get this resolved so that we could definitely have the ability to do something about the properties in our town. And then finally, August 10th, I attended the movie night at Memory Park. It was well attended, it was a great event, everybody seemed to have a good time. And I was just thinking maybe the council would, some members would like to go down and we could distribute some popcorn at the next one, which is August 24th. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Russo?
Sure. First item, you're all being recorded, so I just wanted to put that on the record. Wave to the camera. So tonight we're trying out our new HD camera, which is in the back of the room. It's recording the 5 council members, Lorraine and I, and Ursula, and our staff. It will take the public only really that is using a microphone from the back, so we're not gonna get goofy faces or anything. We're not gonna make faces at you. Hopefully you won't at us, because this is being recorded. It will be uploaded to the website tomorrow. The hosting company is Site 5, is the web hosting company. It's about $11 a month. We'll also probably use YouTube. Probably save these as MP4 files. It will be audio and video. This is kind of our trial run, so we'll see how it goes, and hopefully if there's any glitches, Jim will take care of them in the back, and we'll have it improved upon for the September meeting. But just wanted everybody to know, so
Yeah, so Tom and Jim, thank you very much for your work on this. I know that you've been looking at different technologies, and you've been looking at the costs and the hosting and the infrastructure to make this happen. That's something that we discussed having going forward, so that we always appreciate everybody that can attend a meeting and participate in our local municipal government, but certainly those at home that want to be engaged and hear what's going on at town level can participate the next day, so thank you.
Yep, so that's it. Lorraine will document the proclamation for the record that you referenced on the Eagle Scout. I joined our colleagues here for the boarding house meeting. I thought it went very well. I think we definitely made our point across that the town really needs to have the ability to monitor and control these properties that we've had challenges with. I think the compromise is really to push the DCA department in Trenton to really handle their fiduciary responsibility more seriously. But if they continue to punt on it, then I think we need to maintain being aggressive about getting legislative remedy.
And Tom, just if I can interject there, one of the things that Senator Oroho kept talking about at the meeting was, give us suggestions. And what I thought was wonderful was that because of you, the town of Newton was the only one at the table already prepared with tangible recommendations that could be implemented as part of either the legislation or the enforcement or the call to action to DCA. So thanks for your preparation. And this has been a long and ongoing conversation, but Newton continues to be at the forefront.
We hold the current rental properties to a higher standard through legislation, an ordinance that was adopted. It's called the Animal House legislation. It's statewide. So what we're looking to do is to have these boarding houses fall into the same category. It's really not an unreasonable request. I understand the pushback from the members of the mental health community, but this is a safety and quality of life issue for the residents, especially those who hear about school. So we will try to compromise if we can. Otherwise, we will continue to push for a more aggressive stance, because it's almost 2019 and this has been going on way too long for the people in this town. It's unfortunate. So we'll keep moving on that. Second, attended the freeholder meeting. I did speak along with the mayor about the town's position on the college and McGuire's, hopefully getting the county to have a long-term vision with retail, housing, and public parking garage. The current utilization that they're looking at short-term is good, but it's not great, and it's not where we need to be if we're really trying to get a critical mass of people down that end of the street. So we'll keep pushing on that. We're gonna have a meeting. I think it's September 20th, 9 a.m. at VOTEC.
It is.
It's a public meeting, so you're all invited. Majority of the council members are attending, so it will be advertised and it's open to the public. VOTEC, town council, college, and the county are all participating with their governing bodies. So if you have input, please come to that meeting. Movie night, you mentioned, went very well. We had about 170 people, not bad for first shot. Next one is August 24th, 8 p.m., Jumanji, so please come and enjoy the movie. That'll be great. Just wanted to mention, there's a lot of uptick in developer interest. It's almost hard to keep up now, but there's a lot of conversations. We had a gentleman from Asbury Park looking to do a restaurant, and he wants it to be in Newton as his landing pad, so he can expand from here outward. It says a lot that he came to Newton and drove through the rain to have the meeting, went very well, so I'll keep you posted, but really a lot of interest from outside of the county for people realizing that there's good money to invest in Newton. It's a reasonable and good opportunity for people. Some sundry items. We're closed on Labor Day, September 3rd. Our next meeting will be a Wednesday, September 12th. Taste of Newton, September 10th. Please buy your tickets. Chamber of Commerce. It's from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. The Power of Cheese is the theme for this year. And a couple other items, Mayor, also the passing of Betsy Van Orden.
Yes, thank you,
Who
I'm
was on
sorry,
Shade
I
Tree.
neglected to.
Yeah, no, she had passed away as well.
Mention that as well, yep.
And then public comments. I thank Jackie for her comments. It's always a pleasure to work with Jackie and everybody at JCP&L. Mr. Porter, the crosswalks that we control, we always paint for the school year, but I'll keep on top of the walking wounded DPW department and make sure that they're on top of it for the next couple of weeks before school starts. Mr. Shields, okay, so overnight parking. Newton is not unique in that we have the overnight parking restriction from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Some towns are 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. In some ways it's archaic. It goes back to the time where the towns wanted to prevent traffic on the roadways because of snowplows, public works vehicles, and emergency services. But it can be argued both ways. It's really a policy decision for the council. I've had complaints about it over the years. I've served in other towns where we had the restrictions and there were no issues. But those were a little more suburban and not as urban or citified as Newton's becoming in terms of development. And so these are the 5 people you got to talk to.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to find out how we can either change it or enhance it, because just like you said, you just said it. It's an old law.
I speak truth, and I'm being honest now.
It's an old law.
But it's up to the council.
Right. So that's why I found out. I had to come here.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it, and I appreciate you saying it publicly, what people have said to me privately and council people, but in the end, it's something that, something to think about, not just make a haphazard
Can I
decision.
get my ticket thing?
And then let's,
Unfortunately, we didn't hear that, it's supposed to be recorded, so.
And Mr. Bresler, thank you for your comments. We, appreciated you reaching out, and we do things the right way, but it's always nice to get positive feedback, so thank you for saying that. And that's all I have.
So, yes, I apologize, that I failed to mention Betsy Van Orden, former member of the Shade Tree Commission, her children, employees of the pool, for her passing as well. So yes, condolences to the Van Orden family. And then the last thing that I'll say is that we piloted the program this year in the municipal building with interns, and we had a couple of interns that rotated throughout the departments. And I had the privilege of attending either meetings or all-staff meetings, events with some of them, and I thought that they just carried themselves quite professionally, were good representatives of the town, and did a great job. And I think that they also learned a lot this summer. So, I think, in terms of doing a debrief and looking forward to future years, I just thought that it went well this year, and I'm sure that we'll get that feedback via HR from the interns as they're exiting and going back to school. Okay, next on the agenda are ordinances. We have second reading and public hearing for ordinance 2018-16, an ordinance to revise section 307-49 of the Code of the Town of Newton to revise parking restrictions on Plainfield Avenue. Do I have a motion to open the hearing to the public?
I will make a motion to open the hearing to the public.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Diglio and a second by Councilman Schlaffer. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any comments from the public regarding this ordinance? We've already heard one. Thank you. Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Make a motion to close.
I will second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion to close with a second, motion by Councilman Dixon, a second by Councilman Schlaffer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, do I have a motion to act on ordinance?
I will make a motion to act on ordinance 2018-16.
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion to act on ordinance 2018-16 from Councilwoman Diglio, second by Councilman Dixon. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Diglio?
Yes.
Mr. Schleifer?
Yes.
Mayor LaBrus?
Yes. Next up, we have ordinance 2018-17, an ordinance appropriating $50,000 from the capital surplus fund for preliminary planning expenses for redevelopment planning for new projects in and by the town of Newton in the county of Sussex, New Jersey. As Tom indicated, we have the ability to move this money over from capital surplus and to put it into redevelopment planning as we have some momentum and new interest and whatnot in our 6 redevelopment properties. So just to remind everyone, the town of Newton currently has 6 redevelopment properties and redevelopment plans on our books. So it's nice to have that interest, and in order to move those conversations forward, we need to have monies appropriated for that. So can I have a motion to open this hearing to the public?
I'll motion to open up to the public.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Schaffer, a second by Councilwoman Diglio to open hearing to the public. All in favor?
Aye.
Any comments from the public on this? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing to the public.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion to close the hearing by Councilwoman Diglio, a second by Councilman Dixon. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do I have a motion to act on the ordinance?
I'll motion to act on the ordinance 2018-17.
I will second the motion.
All right, I have a motion to act on ordinance 2018-17 from Councilman Schaffer and a second by Councilwoman Diglio. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Diglio?
Yes.
Mr. Schleifer?
Yes.
Mayor LaBrus?
Yes. No old business at this point, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the town council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Mr. Russo, can you read through the, or go over the resolutions, please?
167 is affirming the issuance of a $1.9 million ban from the Bones Office. 168 is approving a reserve transfer to snow removal. 169 is a municipal alliance special item of revenue insertion, chapter 159 into the budget. Resolution 170 is approval of vacation and sick leave payout for a former employee. Bills and vouchers is 171. We have the extension, just formalizing the extension of the payment of taxes, which was already done, but we're just formalizing that by resolution. Formal resolution appointing Sean Canning as our QPA, which was necessary as per the state audit that we just went through. And on that note, I just want to compliment Terry and Michelle and also Jenny. We had our state purchasing audit on Thursday, and the three of them worked very hard to pull all the information together. It's other staff, but especially those three, they really worked hard on it, and we got a lot of kudos from the state about the things we're doing. So I just wanted to mention that.
Good.
Yeah.
No findings from the state senate or anything like that? I mean,
They had a few suggestions on a couple things. This was one of them, just to have certain things documented. We're in a strong position for 17 and 18.
Mhm.
There was a transition with Debbie leaving in 16, so there's a few things we kind of had to go backwards and triple check, but all in all, it went very well.
That's great.
So no, it was very nice. And application for the BFW for September 8th from noon to 8 for the social affair permit.
Okay.
And after we do consent, I would do the 175, 2018 JCP&L resolution separate, a motion to add, and a motion to vote on it. So we do that.
Okay, anybody wanting to pull off any of the resolutions for further discussion? Okay, hearing none, someone offering a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that motion.
All right, I have a motion by Councilwoman Diglio, a second by Councilman Dixon for the consent agenda. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Diglio?
Yes.
Mr. Schleifer?
Yes.
Mayor LaBrus?
Yes, and we've already discussed it, and Ms. Espinoza has made a presentation, and everyone has had a chance to review Resolution 175-2018. Do I have a motion? Any discussion? Any questions? Any further thoughts? Okay. Do I have a motion to add the resolution to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to add the resolution to the agenda.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Diglio and a second by Councilman Schaffer to add the resolution to the agenda. That's all in favor, right? Or roll call?
Roll call.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Diglio?
Yes.
Mr. Schwafer?
Yes.
Mayor LaBrus?
Yes, so now that we've added to the agenda, I need a motion to move on resolution 175-18, please.
I'll make a motion to move on resolution 175-17.
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a motion to approve resolution 175-18 by Councilman Dixon and a second by Councilman Schaffer. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Diglio?
Yes.
Mr. Schwafer?
Yes.
Mayor LaBrus?
Yes, there you go, Ms. Espinoza. The resolution support. I don't think we need an intermission at this time. We have no further discussion items. So at this point, I will reopen the meeting to the public. Anyone wishing to make additional comments or new comments to the council, please approach. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, Margaret Baldini, Barry Lane. I had two questions. One is regarding Plainfield Ave. Recently, there's been a lot of work done on it, there's a lot of holes dug, and it's sort of really hard to drive down there. I was wondering if you're just gonna patch, or if you're gonna repave the whole thing. Ooh, exciting.
We're trying to make that our project for next year with the grant funding that we applied for.
Oh.
Only thing I'm checking on is the water and sewer obligations underneath, just so we're not paving over a bigger issue, but yeah, it's the next one in the queue.
Okay, so how long do you think we're gonna have those giant?
The DPW is going to do some patchwork quilting work when they're not walking wounded right now, but the goal obviously is to try to get the funds to do the paving next year, because we know it's in need, so.
Cool. All right, also, my second question, this part where you authorize money for the, firehouse, on this chart here, the 2018-6 supplemental for construction of the new firehouse number 2. Is that in addition to the money that you've already, okay. So
Yeah, it's already been allocated, it's just combining it into an anticipation note for the borrowing purposes, but now it's already been allocated.
So what's the
It's not-
total for that right now, do you know? offhand?
It's a $2 million project, well, slightly under 2 million is what it came in at.
Okay, I was just wondering if it was just on top of that.
Oh, no.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Good question, yeah.
Thank you for asking the clarifying question. Mr.
Ralph
Porter?
Porter, 12 Pine Street. I wasn't aware they were repaving Plainfield. Are they gonna put sidewalks there at that point then too?
We're not, we haven't gotten to that point yet of design with Harold, but it's something we're gonna talk about, but yeah, we're not.
I hope you
Not
do.
quite there yet, but.
I hope you do.
All right, fair point.
Has to be walking town.
You're here, I agree.
Anyone else? All right, we'll close that portion of the meeting. Any further council and manager comments?
Actually, I'd like to make one in relation to his comment about the parking. Is there any reason why during the late spring, summer, and early fall, we can't have parking through the night? I know the main reason for the ordinance from 4 to 6 is because of snow removal, but we don't have snow in late spring, summer, and early fall. So if we could adjust that, that's something we can think
That's a
about.
good thing, oh yeah, you can do April 1st to November 1st, or the 8th.
I wouldn't do April 1st, I'd do May 1st. We've had some pretty bad storms in April.
So as Tom has indicated, you know, this is certainly something that's open for discussion.
Mhm.
Certainly we've all had people approach us or ask questions about it. And as Mr. Rizzo indicated, this is council purview, right? So if it's something that we have enough interest in on the dais, then we suggest to Tom to take a look at it, and what his office does is look at the pros and cons and make sure that we check with law enforcement and DPW and make sure that we have all the details and information that we need to make a informed decision whether to keep it as is or to change it. So
Yeah, I
that's,
would think about it, because you know,
Yeah.
there are people that will love the opportunity, and then there will be the people that complain, because now there's cars all over the place and blah, blah, blah. So, it, you know, cuts both ways, but
Mhm.
I would contemplate it, we could always have a conversation after Labor Day and see what you guys think. You know,
Right.
you can
Is that
carve
fair
it.
enough? Fair enough, we will put it for discussion, how's that?
I just the whole thing is that I never seen a sign They say there's signs all around. There is no sign.
Entrances to the town is where we have to put them.
I took pictures of all the signs, and I have not seen one that says no parking at that
That must be
time.
being stolen like the high street sign.
That's
Again, Mr. Shields, thanks for bringing that to a discussion point, and we will add that to the fall items for consideration and discussion.
Thank you.
Councilman DeGlue, any other comments?
Dr. Lynch?
Councilman Dixon? Councilman Schoffer?
No, I'm just excited that we're filming. It'll be great.
So far, so good.
I hope we get a little more interest in our meetings.
Sure.
A little more public
Yeah.
interaction.
Mr. Russo, anything else?
At 7:53, if we go into exec, we have Jim Pruzanowski here, our labor attorney.
Yes.
One item, contract negotiations, PBA, SOA.
Yep, so next item up is executive session. We have resolution 174-2018, a resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12. We have an item to discuss regarding contract negotiations, and so if I can have a motion to go into executive.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Do I have a second? Okay, I have a motion by Councilwoman Diglio, a second by Councilman Dixon to go into executive session at 7:53 p.m. regarding resolution 174-2018. Thank you all very much for attending the meeting, and look forward to seeing you next time. Roll call.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Bigelow? Yes. Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mayor LaBrus?
Yes, thank you.
All right, you're back on the record.
All right, so we're now out of executive session at 8:42. We had a motion by Councilwoman Diglio and a second by Councilman Schlaffer. All in favor was unanimous. We're out of executive session. Just one other thing before we adjourn, Councilman Schlaffer sent me an email inquiring about the council doing something like Coffee with the Council, like Coffee with a Cup. One of the things I wanted to say earlier was that, you can come in. One of the things that I wanted to say earlier was that out of our meeting, our working meeting that Tom and Dan and I had, just so the rest of you know, we have a standing conference call on Fridays, just kind of do weekly updates, which is customary with Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Town Manager. And so I threw this for discussion at one of the meetings, so I wanted to circle back with you because I had not emailed you back.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to think that it had fallen on deaf ears. So what we had talked about was the fact that in the past, actually, Tom's has tried to do like open houses, and I think Joe and Kevin and myself tried to do something similar. But I think that the momentum now, because the police department has been leading this, is that they're engaging with the community. And so we're going to look at the calendars for the fall and see where the opportunity lies for us to do something similar, if not even in partnership with the police department.
October 3rd is National Coffee with a Cocktail.
October 3rd.
Wow. That would be perfect.
October 3rd is National Coffee with a Cup.
Yeah, I just feel like after the last year.
Well, you know.
So that's your next plan?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's-
no, we're definitely.
Okay, so according to Chief Richards, that's their next planned date. There's not one for September. And so we can add that to our agenda and
We'll just
just
do it.
about it.
If it's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
One thing you gotta keep in mind, if you're gonna be 3 of you, it's a meeting and
Yes.
it'll be advertised.
Right, so that would be the other thing. So let's just flesh it out a little bit and confer with the
Yeah.
chief. And then if that's the case, that's the other thing I was gonna say was, you know, it's one thing when the police department does Coffee with a
Right.
Cop, they can have the entire force there if they want. For us, if, you know, once we determine schedules, if there's going to be more than 3 of us, it's not a problem to advertise it. Sure, the clerk's office will do that. We just need to make sure that we're following open lead.
Coffee with the cop, caffeine with the council.
There you go.
Right. Or we'll bring the croissants or the, something else.
Cannolis.
Cannolis.
And the location is not yet.
And a location is not yet determined, okay, so coffee.
Cupcakes with the council.
It's usually like AX or.
Yeah, I know, but hey,
Yeah,
so
so, okay, and so I don't know if y'all heard that, so because we're out of ice cream season, it won't be cone, but if you're doing coffee or coffee with a cup, perhaps at between the bread, then we could engage Erin, and see if she'll do cannolis or cupcakes or something like that, and we can do that jointly, so more to come on that, but thank you for the date, chief.
Matt's idea to do like the council doing, you know, like whatever, doing some concession type stuff, or even if we were ushers at the movie night. I think there's some fun stuff we could do with that.
Yeah, you got some fun.
Just be caution, you know, food handlers,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's why I said maybe we could usher, so
Yeah, I think we
handling
could do
food,
some
you know,
fun
like
thing
that,
with that.
go around.
Running afoul of the rain.
It might be a fun thing for the council to try, not necessarily usurp the event, but it would be fun for the council.
Yeah,
it'd be fun.
to-
Exposure,
It would be fun.
positive.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, and, certainly people have already told me that they, you know, noticed a different, tenor and, vibe at the council meetings, which hopefully is a positive thing, but, you know, part of the reason why in Tom's weekly newsletter, he talks about all the community events that are coming up at different meetings, is not just to put forth the calendar, but, you know, for those things that we can attend, whether it's the senior holiday functions, or it's the community events, or what's going on in the pool, or what the rec department does. You know, we wanna be discussing at those, each of the meeting, and those of us can attend, and, I think, you know, every time that I'm able to go to an event, it's, you know, a few more people I'm meeting, and some good conversations. People are engaging with you about, you know, what they're happy about, what they're not happy about. You know, we look at those. The other thing that I'll say too is, I know that Kat sent out the monthly reports. So, publicly want to thank the departments for, on a continued basis, putting those together monthly and providing the details of the council on the day-to-day operations that are going on in each of the departments. I'm looking at the chief because and Jen, because you guys are the department heads that are here right now, but, you know, thank you for those reports. Oh, and Lorraine, I'm so sorry. Oh, gosh, that's twice I have to make a couple tonight, I apologize. We get to see you more often than some of the others. Anything else for the good of the order, Tom?
No, recording away.
Councilman Schaffer?
No, I'm good.
Councilman Dixon? Councilman Diglio?
I'm fine.
Clerk's office?
Good. I do have, my deputy registrar dad passed away this morning. So
Oh.
Janine Roberts' dad passed away, so that was some sad moments in the clerk's office today.
Was that unexpected?
He was
He was
ill
sick for the last
couple weeks.
month,
Yeah.
so.
Should we be emailed the funeral arrangements?
Yeah.
Absolutely, as soon as I know the arrangements, I will certainly send it out.
Yeah, please extend our condolences to Jean.
I certainly will, thank you.
Although I anticipate she's probably not in the office. Okay, anything else? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn at 8:48?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second that motion.
All right, I have a motion by Councilman Schaffer, a second by Councilwoman Diglio to adjourn at 8:48. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.